Okay, good afternoon to everyone. Uh, the yesterday's class we were discussing about the one problem. In that problem, we have discussed uh, the how to solve the problem if it is given for separate system, partial surface separate system, and combined system. So last before 2 days class also we solved two problems. In that we have discussed only the combined system and separate system. And here we discussed completely three types of systems, what we have discussed earlier: separate system, partially separate system, and combined system. So there we have calculated first the runoff coefficient. So when you are calculating the runoff coefficient, we multiplied, we have used the formula that is A1C1, A2C2 up to AN CN divided by A1 A2 up to the AN. Then when you say it is a combined flow, it is a storm water as well as sewage flow. So when you are calculating the storm water flow, we have to use Q is equal to CIA divided by 360. When you are calculating sewage flow, normally we'll multiply the population, the rate of flow, and how much percentage of sewage is going to come from the rate of demand. Normally we have to take it as either it is 75% or it is 80%. If they have given, you have to take this much only, then you have to consider that much percentage only. If it is, suppose if he has not mentioned anything, you can take in the range of 75 to 80%. Either you can take 75% or can take 80%. So then we have calculated the quantity of storm water using the Q is equal to CIA divided by 360. So then we got around 11 meter cube per second. So here is the total calculation. Then after that we have calculated the discharge for separate systems we have calculated. So then there we have assumed it is 80% of the water demand is going to reach as a sewage. Then considering the peak factor, I already said that in the CPHU manual, you can see that you can assume it is in between 2 to 3. If he has not given, you can assume either 2 or you can 3. So then the design discharge is calculated by multiplying the partially or the separate systems multiplied by 2. So then this is with respect to the partial systems. There we have did calculated the runoff coefficient for two areas, that is for roofs and paved courtyards. So then we got there 0.85 as the average value. With that average value, we have calculated the discharge, that is 0.85, 30 to 90 over. This is a 0.85, it is nothing but it is the C. Then I is intensity of rainfall, that is 30 mm per hour. Then 90 is the area, that is 45 and 45, because 50% of the total area is occupied by the paved and another 15% of the area is occupied by the courtyards. Then divide by 360. So then we got total 6.375. We got totally of 11. If we calculated the total storm water, in that partial systems followed by the sewage, we are getting 6.764. The remaining whatever it is there, it is coming from the whatever the 4.625 meter cube per second is there. It is coming from the remaining areas. So then with that details, maybe it is almost the completion of the first module. So then we'll go ahead with the The second module, that is the design of sewers. Some of the aspects we already covered, how to design the stormwater flow and how to design the uh, sewage flow, but we have not designed the how to take the stormwater drains, how to design the stormwater drains, and how to design the sewage flow. That we have designed it, but now here what we have to do is that two aspects I already discussed, that is the self-cleansing velocity and the non-scouring velocity. The self-cleansing velocity, it is that I already discussed, is the velocity in the sewage line where the flow should be sufficient so that whatever the silt or the sand it is there, it should not accumulate on the inside the sewer line. Means it has to clean the whatever the silt accumulation as well as the sand accumulation. Then one more is that non-scouring velocity, and it should not be too fast, that whatever the sand or silt particles it will be there, it should not cover inside the surface of the pipeline. So we should maintain the optimum velocity so that self-cleansing velocity should be maintained as well as the non-scouring velocity also maintained. So that is why I already discussed that 0.45 meter per second is considered as optimum, and as far as possible during some rainy seasons normally the velocity will be more and it should not exceed 0.9 also, 9 meter per second. So then when you are designing the sewers, some of the major aspects we have to consider, then some of the major steps we have to do it. The first one is the estimate of sanitary sewage that we have to do. We already know how to calculate it. So then it can be calculated, that we already done also, but still I'll tell now. The sanitary sewage can be calculated by multiplying the rate of demand and how much percentage of wastewater is coming, that we have to multiply. Then for example, LPCD, if you are taking 135, if 80% of the wastewater is coming out, if that is there, then with whatever the population is there, that you have to multiply it. So then you will get the total how much sewage is coming out from that line. Then major thing is that design period. The design period should be 30 years. Normally it is considered. For example, if you have census, if you are considering 2021, then minimum it has to, once you design it, it has to come for 30 years. The design period, it depends upon the following, that is ease and difficulty in expansion. Whatever we are design considering, it depends on the following things. One is ease and difficulty in expansion, amount and availability of the investment, anticipated rate of population growth, including the shifts in communities, industries, commercial investments. So when it is considering the first point, that is ease and difficulty in expansion, sometimes what will happen is that some of the areas they will say that there is no further expansion in this village. Then we have to restrict the years and we have to stop it for 20 years. Still it is expanding. If the growth of the expansion of the population growth is like incremental, then it can be extended up to 30 years. Sometimes in some metropolitan cities, now they are designing up to 40 years also. So then how much fund is available? That is also very important. For example, now if the fund is very less, then provision can be made based on the the investments and based on the priorities, then it should be given. For example, the village, assume that it is around 1,000 houses. Suppose if the fund is not available, then you can restrict wherever the necessity is there for first, then go ahead with the first phase, second phase, third phase. Then you divide the work, then you can execute it. Then plan the fund also. The first part, second part, as well as the third part. So invest, give the first priority, second priority, and the third priority. Then anticipated rate of population growth, including shifts in communities, industries, commercial investments. The hydraulic constants of the systems designed, it also very important. Some of the hydraulic constants like how much pressure we are going to RL is one of the major thing in some of the villages, because when you are normally the sewers are designed for gravity flow. If the proper RL is not there, sometimes you have to excavate more, or you have to make suitable construction so that the proper sewer has to be designed in a proper locations. Sometimes we have to shift some of the sewer lines, so that the major is that it should be designed for the gravity flow only. Very rare cases will go for the pumping system, that has to be taken care. So hydraulic constants we will discuss in detail, and the list of the materials as well as the equipment is also very important when you are designing it. Then population estimate, that we already did it. If the population estimate is correct, then of course most of the time your design is also going to be correct. If this is because this is the first stage, or it is the first type of the estimate, or first we'll start with the population. If that is going to be wrong, then normally what will happen is that whole thing is going to be wrong. So whenever you are designing, be careful, take the population forecasting, because we are designing it for 30 years. Then go ahead with the further steps. Area, the tributary area for any section under consideration need to be marked on key plan. Whatever the tributary area for any section under consideration need to be marked in any key plan. The topography, layout of the buildings, legal limitations, etc. Determine the tributary area draining to the sewer section, that has to be taken care of, because some of the tributaries will be there, that has to be considered properly. Topography, we already discussed some of the runoff coefficients. If the topography is totally different, the runoff coefficient is going to be changed. The area is to be measured from the map. Per capita sewage flow, although the entire spent water of a community should contribute to the total flow, um, in sanitary flow, that is whatever it is there that we already discussed, it has to be observed that a small portion is lost in the evaporation, seepage, ground leakage, etc. That is why we consider it as 70 to 80%. Then the sewer should be designed minimum for 1 LPCD, but whatever it is there, we have to use a proper code. That is, the code is available 1172. If you IS 1172, if you refer that as well as the CPHU manuals, so you will come to know that how much has to be referred and how much you have to follow it. So then even the groundwater infiltration has to be considered. So when it is doing that, so sanitary sewers they are considered normally the values like assumed. So because it is very highly difficult to measure the groundwater infiltration. That is why they have given the range. If you see the range, that is 5,000 to 50,000 liters. It depends on the type of soil and the type of topography. And in some cases, we have to assume it. So sometimes you can use 5,000 to 50,000 liters per day per hectare. That can be done. 500 to 5,000 liters per day per kilometer of sewers per centimeter of diameter. We can assume in that way also. Infiltration. Based on that infiltration coefficient also we have to consider it whenever we are designing any of these sewer networks. Because if you see the empirical formula, that is Q is equal to CIA by 360. There first one is the C, that is a runoff coefficient. There the infiltration parameter has to be analyzed. Then intensity of rainfall, of course, it is no way connected with this infiltration. The C is going to affect the infiltration process. So then self-cleansing velocity, I already explained it. So it is a minimum velocity in a sewer line to ensure that the suspended solids do not deposit and cause choking troubles. Such a minimum velocity is called as a self-cleansing velocity. Self-cleansing velocity is determined by considering the particle size, the specific weight of the suspended solids in the sewage. That has to be determined before giving any value of the self-cleansing velocity. This normally the self-cleansing velocity is given by the Shield scientist. So V is equal to square root of 8K divided by F SS minus S divided by S GD, where F is Darcy's coefficient of friction, that is 0.03. K is the characteristics of the solid particles. It is assumed that 0.06 for organic and 0.04 for inorganic solids. SS is given as specific gravity of the particles, and normally it is assumed that 2.65 for inorganic and 1.2 for the organic solids. And the specific gravity of the sewage is assumed as 1, and G is the acceleration due to gravity. D is the diameter of the particle. The velocity which it can cause the automatic, whatever it is there, it is automatic self-cleansing velocity, and it is assumed that 0.45 meter per second is assumed for as a self-cleansing, and it should not be more, that is 0.9 meter per second. Now we'll stop this class today. We'll go ahead with some of the problems in the next class. We'll directly go, maybe some more are there. We'll continue in the next class. If any doubts are there, you can ask.